Good afternoon and welcome to the Ergoline webinar. We will give everybody a few more minutes to go ahead and get signed in here. I see people coming in rather quickly. So if you would give us a minute or two and then we will go ahead and get started. While everyone is getting signed on, I can go ahead and go through some of the housekeeping items that will help you navigate your webinar screen today. Be aware that there are a couple of different areas where you can input information, especially down in the question box. So if you would go ahead and keep your microphones and things like that silenced or muted throughout the broadcast. And then if you do have any questions, you can certainly type those into the question box and I'll take a look at those at the end as well. All right, it looks like the entrances to the webinar have slowed down a little bit, so we'll go ahead and get started and do our best to use your time as efficiently as possible today. The voice you're hearing today is Bryn Scarborough, that's myself. I'm the Executive Director of Sales for JK North America in the US. I also have on the line today Amanda Grissom, who is Marketing and Sales Manager with JK as well, assisting today. So if you do have any information that you are missing today or you feel like there's more that you should be getting or would like to have, certainly, like I said, put that into the question box and I'll answer those questions at the end. The primary purpose of this webinar is really to present new technology and equipment offerings that we have come out with from Ergoline over the last 12 months, and to help everyone on the customer side of things really begin to have a better understanding of the types of technology that we're bringing forward. Not only to enhance your customer's experience in the tanning salon, but also improve your experience as an owner or an operator to be able to make daily business and daily life for you go much easier. So with that being said, you should be seeing my screen now. And we'll go ahead and get the webinar started here. Thank you again for joining today. We've got a great number of people on the line today, so I'm sure that some of you are probably working out technical difficulties to get things started as well. But we will not hold off any longer. We'll go ahead and get started here. So the point of this webinar primarily is to talk about one of our new and latest and greatest pieces of equipment, which is the Prestige 1600. The Prestige 1600 is the first of its kind to have UV and red light combined in the same unit, and have a FDA clearance and 510K for the same, for a total body commercial unit. Now, if you've been around the tanning industry for a while, you might have had exposure to previous hybrid units or previous prototypes, and this is really quite a large step forward from anything you would have seen in the past. What this does is UV light with the addition of red light in the same lamps, and I'll talk a little bit more about the lamp technology in a little while. But what happens in this environment is the ability to achieve optimal tanning results with less UV and also get a much better and more natural looking tan throughout the process. Red light benefits the tanning process. We've known that for a long time. If you do have the Beauty Angel or you're aware of the Beauty Angel, you know that it's quite common for us to suggest that you can use the Beauty Angel before you go tan. And it's very similar to priming a wall before you would paint it. So it prepares the skin, prepares the body, and allows you to absorb UV more quickly without having that time that it typically takes to initiate the tanning process biologically. When we combine red light and UV in the same session, we allow that process to take place all at one time, which means that biologically the body can receive red light much more efficiently. There's less inflammation, and you have a more natural looking tanning result. There's a couple of other things on the Prestige 1600 that are brand new as well. On the screen, you will see what you might recognize as the exterior control panel. And this exterior control panel has been updated to include some session choices that really give you the ability to customize your experience in the hybrid Prestige 1600. So from the exterior control panel, you can do a couple of things. We always say when you are upgrading into higher level pieces of equipment that it's really important to give your customer a proper introduction to this equipment, because sometimes it can be very prohibitive for your customers the first couple of times that they're going through the tanning process, or the first few times that they upgrade into higher level equipment, to really feel comfortable with pressing all of the buttons or pulling the handles or whatever it might be. I know that for myself, when I first started upgrading into higher level equipment, it was probably 5 or 6 sessions before I really started navigating the control panel, or being able to differentiate between the various different features that I was really paying to upgrade into or paying to upgrade for. And what we've done with the exterior control panel is give you the ability as a salon operator or an owner to give a real proper tour, and then also to preset some of the comfort features before your customer actually gets in the unit, so that they're fully aware of everything that is offered to them when they're tanning in your level 4 or level 5 equipment. You'll see on the exterior of this piece of equipment that it also includes Bluetooth. This is new on the Prestige 1600. It's a very simple pairing process. The pairing process and the network are secured. So while you do have to pair your phone every time you come in, it's not remembered. Like, for example, if you get in a rental car, I was in one this morning, and you can scroll down through all the paired devices that it hasn't forgotten. That's not really considered a secure network. So the network is secure. If you have multiple pieces of Bluetooth equipment sitting side by side, they will not interact with each other. It just simply means that you will pair the device just like you would on your iPhone or any other type of smartphone, and the pairing process is very, very straightforward. Also included in this is NFC Connect. So on previous units like the Prestige 1400 and Prestige 1000, we've included NFC Connect, which means that you can preset your comfort features and program them into a scannable card that your customer can bring back session after session. That being said, what is Personal Sun Style? Personal Sun Style is a process where you can individualize your tanning process for each session, and it's specific to the hybrid 1600. What does that mean, though? When you see the buttons sensitive, medium, and intensive, intensive simply means that you will have a session with red light and UV combined, and the session output on the UV side will just be a standard 4MED tanning session. However, what's great about this process is that you can go in and turn down the UV and still retain the benefits of red light. So for example, myself, I'm very fair-skinned. I can go into the Prestige 1600 and press the sensitive button, and what that will do is turn down the UV output to 75%, and the red light output remains constant. So you still get full red light benefits, but I can turn down the UV. The same is true of the medium session. So medium turns the UV down to 85%, and I still get full red light benefits from the session. Or if I just want a regular session, I can certainly choose that as well, and I'll have my regular session output. So really it gives you the ability to turn down the UV if, for example, you're wanting to focus more on red light, or you have a lighter or fairer skin tone, and it's better for you during a session output to turn the UV down. But throughout the session, the red light does not turn down, so you still have full session benefits from red light. You can do this at any time. We've already gotten the question from some of these units out in the field, do I still skin type? Yes, you always skin type, and you always follow your state or federal recommendations for typing when you get into the unit. But what happens is this gives you the ability, if, for example, you've already built up to a full session time and you don't want that much UV or you want less, you always have that option. Or to be able to turn the session output down after you've gone through your skin typing process. You absolutely have that option as well. One thing to be aware of is that these choices are not remembered from one session to the next. So we left this out of the NFC process so that an individual could make the decision every time. We know that our skin tone is not static. We either gain or we lose a tan over time as skin is sloughed off the surface. And so it's not an important feature to have the same every time. It's important for you to be able to change that from session to session based on what your priorities are. In addition to that, you have some options that let you choose between what type of output you would like. The interior control panel has been updated. In the past, we had the toggle switch on the Prestige 1400, where you basically pulled down on it like a handlebar. That has gone away. We found that many people were not using that handlebar to pull the canopy down. They felt like that was something they shouldn't do. And then we realized that when it comes to ease of operation and also cleanability, the glass control panel that you would have recognized from the previous Affinity units was actually much more well utilized and easier to use during a session. So that's what you'll see here. And you also see that it makes room for some additional LED lights as well, and we'll talk about what those LEDs do. What you can do from the control panel is control any of your standard features like air conditioning, Temptronic, Aquamist, aroma, sound volumes, and voice guide. You can also turn down the facial tanners from the interior control panel at any time throughout the session. And we think that this interior control panel is just much simpler from a functionality perspective than some of the previous ones, and really listen to the field when it comes to what's important to you, what are the things you really need to be able to see during the session, and what are the features that are most often changed. And so we tried to make that as straightforward as possible. Here's a great tanning tunnel shot that really gives you an ability to see how the lamps are laid out within the unit, and all of the different types of output that you have. And you have not only red light and UV combined in the facial area, and I'll explain those outputs in a minute, but you also have throughout the entire canopy red light and UV combined throughout the entire circumference of the tanning canopy and base, as well as LEDs that are red light only, that allow you to be able to have a red light only session. So what is the actual lamp makeup? You can see clear color variation between the different types of tube lamps within the canopy and the base. And what we want everyone to be aware of is that even though a lamp might light up red or pink, there is still UV in all of the lamps in the canopy and the base. So any of the tube lamps that you see there, even though some light up to be the traditional bluish UV color and others light up to be more red in color, UV phosphors are included in every single lamp within the full canopy and base. What we have done in the lamps that you can see that are red is be able to combine red light and UV in the same type of lamp so that you still get full tanning performance all the way around. And in the facial area, it's a little bit different even still. So you have the ability to really customize the output for your facial tanning area, which is quite important for us. We would never, in a higher level piece of tanning equipment, tan the face with the same lamps that you're using to tan the body. We want to be very efficient in our tanning of the face. We want to be able to bronze the face and then not use any more UV than we actually need. So what's in the facial area is a few things. There's 4 Ultra Performance Plus facials, which if you have had access to our level 4 and level 5 equipment, this is not new technology, but what it does do is allows us to use a high pressure tanning lamp along with a filter glass to be able to direct exactly the type of UV that we want to be able to efficiently tan the face without overexposing it. Also included in the facial tanning area, lamps that include red light and UV combined in the same lamp. In a Prestige 1400 or a Prestige 1000, these would be regular UVB spaghetti lamps. However, in the Prestige 1600 hybrid, they're a combination of red light and UV combined. When you turn the facial tanners down throughout a session, both of these lamps are turned down equally. So ultra performance high pressure facials and the red light spaghetti lamps combined with UV turned down. However, maybe you're like me and you don't like to tan your face much anymore. If you're over 30 like I am, you know that you're not tanning your face nearly as much as you used to. And so you have the ability to turn the UV completely off during a session and only have the benefits of red light. So this is something that's really advantageous for me and something that I think is really important, that instead of having no benefits on the face where you would turn your typical UV facials down to low or turn them off all the way in a Prestige 1400 or a 1000, or even in some of the Affinity units, here when you turn the UV down or off in the facial area, you still retain all of the benefits of red light, and so you can have a red light only facial session throughout your entire session in the Prestige 1600, which I think is really, really beneficial. It gives you the ability to really customize the type of output that you want on the face and body. In addition to that, you have enhanced tanning performance. So there's a few things that happen here. Because red light and UV work more efficiently together, you have improved tanning results rather quickly. We've taken feedback from the field almost immediately to know that after your first session in the Prestige 1600, what you will experience, or the difference that you will experience, is the fact that you don't come out of the unit as red or inflamed. Now, sometimes people equate this redness or this inflammation with tanning, and those two things are not actually the same. If you've been in the industry for a long time or you're a bit of a science nerd, you know that the redness that occurs after a tanning session is not the tanning process, it's the body's biological response to UV exposure, and it's called erythema. And it takes about an hour or two for erythema or the redness in the skin to go down after a traditional tanning session. And that's when melanin production and pigmentation production actually begin to take place. So we've already heard feedback from a few people saying, oh, I got out of the session and I wasn't as red, I must not have gotten a tan. That's absolutely not the case. It just simply means that the skin is not as inflamed, and you won't get out feeling as hot and red as you would from a traditional piece of tanning equipment. Now, what does happen is that after 1 to 3 sessions in the Prestige 1600, you'll see a completely different kind of tan development on the surface of the skin. This is not just theory, this is what we're hearing real-time feedback in the field, as well as what I've experienced personally when I've used these units in Germany and now here as well once we've started installing them. It's that if you're very fair-skinned like I am, you'll be able to get in your first session and see a result and see that the tan development is quite different. If you already have an existing tan or you're a darker skin tone, typically within 2 to 3 sessions, never more than 3, people begin to see an enhanced tanning result. And what that means is that when red light and UV are combined, it creates a much more natural looking tan. Natural looking tan is different for everyone, but we've confirmed this with anyone who's used the equipment, that the color of the tan development is just much different. Traditional UV tan development can be very gray or sometimes ashy in color until you really build up a full base tan. When combined with red light, the golden color or the glowing color for each individual skin tone is much different. And you can see that almost right away. So the more tan you go in with, or the more melanin you go in with, the longer it takes to see the difference in the tan development because you already have a tan. If you don't already have a tan and you're trying to get one, you'll see the difference in tan development very quickly, which is fantastic. That also means that you can, additionally, like we talked about, using the personal sun style feature, turn down the UV output once your tan is developed. And once you're in the maintenance stage of your ongoing tan, turn down the UV output of a session and you will still continue to enhance your tan and maintain your tan without getting more UV than you actually need. We have found that when you combine red light and UV into the same lamps, we're actually able to turn down the UV output in the combined lamps by up to 20% and still maintain the same tanning results. And so we're able to actually use less UV and get better results and more natural looking results. And by natural, I don't mean less tan. By natural, I mean more appropriate for your individual skin tone. Sometimes people assume that when we're saying natural, we just mean there will be less of a tan. That's not the case. The color that develops from these units is just simply more appropriate for a fair skin, medium tone skin, or olive tone skin, and looks more appropriate for your individual skin tone. These lamps are controlled with an NFC chip card, even more important here than in some of our previous units, to be able to maintain performance throughout the entire lamp life, which simply means that an NFC chip card ships with every lamp change and arrives with your unit. From session 1 to session 1000, or hour 1 to hour 1000 with these lamps, you're guaranteed to have the same high quality lamp output that you would as if you just changed the lamps. That's what's controlled with the electronic ballast within the unit, and then also with chip card technology. So when you're talking about high level tanning equipment and high level technology like we have here, it's important to make sure that you don't have the quote unquote hot lamp situation, but it maintains high level performance no matter when you're accessing or exposed to those lamps throughout their lamp life. So it doesn't matter if it's hour 775 or hour 1, you will still have the same tanning results because the electronic ballasts are able to power the lamps more efficiently as they age and as they degrade over time to ensure that you have optimal output throughout the entire life of the lamps. We already spoke a little bit about the facial tanning technology that allows you to truly customize whatever you would like within the facial area, whether that's turning the UV down throughout the session. Even if, for example, I go in and I choose on the exterior control panel to have a medium or a sensitive tanning session, I can still, inside that session, turn my facial tanning lamps down even further, and I can turn them off at any time. And it won't affect the output of the canopy and base lamps. So you really have a lot of control over what you can do throughout a session. And we find that the facial tanners and adjustment to the facial tanners is probably one of the most common, if not the most common adjustment, other than air conditioning, that takes place inside a unit. In addition to the tanning performance that's included in the Prestige 1600, there's a few comfort features that really enhance the session itself. There's a complete enclosure when it comes to the tanning tunnel to ensure that you can cool the session or cool the cabin down very quickly and that the air inside stays cool. This also reduces the outside noise of the unit so that if you have paired your phone or you are listening to Bluetooth, you have very good sound absorption and you can hear what you're listening to, as well as voice guide navigation, which helps you to be able to navigate the session without being able to necessarily see everything if you're wearing tanning goggles or something like that. This also includes Temptronic Plus, which you might be familiar with. It's a feature that's been around for us for a while, which simply means that underneath the base, there is a layer of cool air that flows between the acrylic or the multi-relax acrylic that you actually lay on and the acrylic base plate that covers the lamps. So it helps you to avoid laying on a very hot surface or getting overly sweaty on a hot surface, because the whole purpose of the multi-relax acrylic is to avoid you having to turn over in the unit or to shift or move around much to get ideal tanning performance. And so we have carried that forward, as well as still having independently controlled shoulder tanners as well, which will allow you to turn your shoulder tanners down if you want that. So it's also, like we talked about at the very beginning of the webinar, important that you can use the Professional Setup Manager to ease operational controls. And so if you do have multiple pieces of Prestige equipment in your salon, you can move from one piece of equipment to the next and update your default settings, update operator settings and things like that between units, instead of having to access a service PC or pop the hood to be able to get under the unit to turn Aquamist or Aroma on or off, things like that. So it really eases the setup process as well as the ongoing default options that you would have within the unit. It's very self-explanatory. You're able just to walk through the Professional Setup Manager and make adjustments to any of the settings you see there. I won't take you through every single one of them because that can be quite a boring explanation. But you're able to do things like update the LED light show on the exterior of the unit, turn default air conditioner settings between sessions up and down, turn Aquamist and Aroma on and off, things like that. And all of these can be controlled by your operator NFC Connect card. What you can also do from this screen, like I mentioned before, is when a customer comes in to use this unit for the first time, you're able to explain all of the comfort features that they can access from inside the unit while you're giving them a tour outside the unit. And so it helps your customers be a lot more comfortable when they are accessing equipment for the first time or high-level equipment for the first time, to be able to really feel like they can navigate the control features and get everything that they paid for out of their upgrade. So this is the exterior of the Prestige 1600. It's a great looking piece of equipment. And these are all of the features that come on it. And so there's no feature left off. There are no additional options to add. Everything that you see here is fully and completely standard on the Prestige 1600. Beginning with red light LEDs, ultra performance facial technology, and then the hybrid lamps that exist in the canopy and the base. As you can see, there's 14 lamps that are red light and UV combined, 38 lamps that are strictly UV. LED light show, like I was talking about, is a customizable feature for the exterior of the unit. And then many of these other features, I won't go through every single one of them, but you can customize them and you might be familiar with them already. One thing I do want to point out about Aquafresh and Aroma, and I think I talk about this every time I talk about these features, is that they're two separate features. While they happen at the same time during a session, Aquafresh is just a mist of desalinized water. And then Aroma is air that's passed over a fragrance gel. So sometimes there's a little bit of confusion about if you're being sprayed with a fragrance or if there's actually fragrance in the mist that comes out of the unit, and there's not. While those features typically happen at the same time throughout a session, you are not ever being sprayed with fragrance, which I know can be an allergenic issue or a pretty serious issue of personal preference when it comes to fragrances and things like that. So always make sure that your customers understand that as well. And then Personal Sun Style is a new one here that we talked about earlier. It gives you the ability to customize your session output. You can turn down the UV during a session and still maintain the full benefits of red light. This unit, the Prestige 1600, is the first of its kind to be FDA cleared in the United States, to have red light and UV listed on a 510K for a piece of commercial tanning equipment, and to be able to market that as well. So it's a really important step forward for us as a company to ensure that we have the best tanning technology available, as well as the most innovative units that are available on the market today. It was a big step forward for us as well to be able to actually get to start talking about red light and the synergistic benefits of red light and UV combined. As you might know, in the past, that's been a difficult conversation to have because it didn't exist on an FDA clearance, and now it does, with the first unit being the Prestige 1600. All of these units ship with a full marketing kit, and there's a few pieces of the marketing kit that are not listed here. I'll go through some of those in a minute. And we really tried to take advice from those of you who have received marketing kits from us in the past as far as what you are truly using. There were many times we would walk into a salon that had been sent marketing kits and only a few of those pieces were actually utilized. And so we tried to bring it back to what you really need to be able to introduce new technology to your customers. Not only from a front desk perspective, you know, we understand that the first people who are typically introducing new technology in your salon are your front desk employees. And so that means that they are talking quite often about various different pieces of equipment. And we want to make their talking points as clear and straightforward as possible. So you have a few things here. You have a window cling, just to let everybody know that you have new equipment in the salon. You have a promotional poster, an operational poster, and then there's two things, the customer guide that you can see on the screen, which really gives you an FAQ or a frequently asked question layout of the Prestige 1600. So all of the questions that we've gotten today, essentially, or that we've gone over today in detail, are listed in an abbreviated version in your FAQ or your customer guide. In addition to that, and what's not listed on the screen, we're just finishing up design of these pieces now, is a customer card or a customer handout that is just your quick and dirty explanation of what the new equipment does, personal sun style, and the products that you should be using with the equipment. We know that not everybody will be prepared to read all the way through frequently asked questions, but we certainly created a piece of material that you can just hand to each new customer that is using the equipment that will give them the full explanation that they need in pictures and in words. Tell people and then tell people again through pictures to be able to use the equipment. I'm going to take a quick break here and look at these questions that I have here. There was a question about T-Max here, and yes, it will have an assignment on the T-Max. These units run just like any other piece of Ergoline equipment that's integrated with a T-Max, either wirelessly or hardwired. And then any other questions I'll get to right at the end. So in addition to that, we developed a product to be used specifically with hybrid light technology. There aren't very many hybrid products out there on the market today that are used for this type of output that is UV and red light combined. And so what you see on the screen is a brand new product line that's coming out specifically designed by Ergoline with the intention of being used with UV and red light combined. There's a few reasons that we did that. We did that because we knew exactly what type of ingredients would be best to be able to enhance the light technology in the unit, as well as wanted to create a very accessible and full body product line that you can use daily as skincare, or you can use during a session as well. And so we've integrated a lot of very popular ingredients. For example, there's color correction in here. There is high-end anti-aging ingredients in here as well that give you the ability to really enhance what happens during a tanning session in the Prestige 1600 in between sessions in your daily skincare. The facial product I've been testing for a few weeks now, and I'm very happy with the way it's come out. The texture and the results from this product are better than anything else that I've seen in the tanning market so far, and it is especially enhanced when you use it in combination with red light. It's important to know that there is nothing in the Fusion products that will be prohibitive to tanning. And when you purchase a Prestige 1600, you get a case of each one of these products as part of your marketing kit to help you market the device and help you market the sessions in that unit as well. It's important to know that it's very calming and color correcting on the skin. It's also free of sulfates, parabens, and mineral oils. Mineral oils being important to keep away from your acrylics. And so there is nothing that would prohibit you from tanning. There's also nothing that would be damaging to your equipment or the tanning process throughout a session if you're using Fusion by Hybrid Light. Obviously, would be pretty counterproductive for us to create a product line that would in any way harm your equipment or would be prohibited to tanning at all. The whole point is to accelerate the usage of the Prestige 1600 or accelerate the results that you receive by using an additional product and a product that's specifically designed for that type of light output, as well as keeping in mind that you might want to use different types of products as well. There is not an artificial bronzer in this product, so there's nothing stopping you from using a bronzing product and also using Fusion or switching back and forth between those depending on what your priorities are. So there's a few additional pieces of Ergoline equipment that I'd like to go over today that have come out in the last year. Some of you may or may not be aware of them, and then some of you might be listening for the first time and are seeing some of our newer pieces of equipment for the very first time. We have had really strong stand-up units for probably over at least a decade now, and we came out with a fully redesigned Sunrise 7200 in the spring of last year. And while the unit looks really great from the outside, the interior of the unit and the operational aspects of the unit are really what changed the game as an owner or an operator. This unit features smart performance, which means that it includes electronic ballast as well. It also means that while you still have the same output and results that you would come to expect from 48 200-watt lamps, you're able to use up to 25% less electricity to run the unit, as well as getting up to 25% longer lamp life from a standard lamp change than you would from its predecessor, the Sunrise 480. That means that where you would typically have guaranteed lamp output on a Sunrise 480 of around 500 hours, typically in the Sunrise 7200 you have anywhere from 650 to 700 hours, sometimes a little more than that depending on whether or not you're getting a full cool down between sessions. Everybody knows that the hotter you run your lamps on a regular basis, the more it degrades those lamps over time. So it does vary a little bit between individual locations. In addition to that, there is also a floating door system. So this unit will actually fit into a smaller room than the Sunrise 480, which means it can go into a 7x7 room instead of a 7x8 room because the door swing is so much more accessible. It also is much easier to get into and out of instead of having one very large panel door that you have to open up. Also, one of the critical points of failure on the previous Sunrise 480, after that door has been opened and closed 100 times or slammed 10,000 times, you could have some hinge issues there over the lifetime of the unit. So we took that away, making sure that it is as easy as possible to get into and out of the unit. And then also similar to a cushion stop that you would have on your kitchen cabinets, it's a cushioned close on the unit as well. So any damages or any issues that you would have from doors slamming are very much decreased in this unit. One of the other major differences is the cooling system. If you remember the Sunrise 480, all of the electronics and the fans sat directly on top of that unit. And while it did a good job of evacuating air out of the inside of the unit to be able to cool it down, what was very difficult is the cleaning of that unit. You all know that it either took a ladder, turning off the breaker and pulling the top off the Sunrise 480 to really get into the electronics or to be able to clean that unit. Cleaning of this unit is much more straightforward, which means that your front desk person or your salon cleaners, however your business is set up, they don't have to turn off a breaker. They don't have to go into the room with a ladder or any special tools just to clean the unit. Literally all it takes is a Swiffer. You can't see it in this picture here, but the top of the unit is fully open to the ceiling. So air evacuates straight out the top and there's no electronics that sit on the top of the unit. The electronics are, however, enclosed, and let me see if I can use a pointer here. They are enclosed in the back of the unit so that you can see throughout the entire session, and you can access anytime after the session to be able to get to your electronics in your subwoofer. So the very back panel that you can see there with the doors open actually opens up, and so within the back column of the unit, you have your subwoofer, all of your breakers, and any electronic that would typically sit on the top of the unit is in the back of the unit and inaccessible from a user or a customer. If you have the Sunrise 480, you know that some of your customers get very bold and they will actually unplug your subwoofer so that they can plug in their phones instead of using the internal sound system. That's no longer an option here because all of the electronic is enclosed within the unit and only accessible to the operator, but much more easily accessible than having it on the roof of the unit as well. In addition to that, there is a brand new control panel that you can see here in the photo as well. With the Sunrise 480, when you want to give a tour of the unit or explain to someone how to use the unit, you have to actually get inside of it. I know from enough trainings myself that you have to get inside the unit and show the individual or individuals, if you're training your staff, how to use that piece of equipment. One of the more intuitive features of the Sunrise 7200 is that the control panel actually pivots outside the unit when the doors are open. So you can explain to a customer exactly how to use the control panel without having those awkward moments of having to get into the tanning tunnel or get into the unit itself to be able to show them how to do that, which is very easy and very straightforward. This unit also features the professional setup manager so that you can preset any of your functions before the unit starts. It has a customizable LED light show and a new sound system as well. And then VibraShape is optional in this unit also. From an operational perspective, this one is much, much easier to use and also really brings the time that you have under the hood, per se, of lamp changes down significantly, which are some of the best features of this unit. At the same time, we introduced the Sunrise 7200 for traditional tanning last year. We also came out with the updated Beauty Angel. And I won't go through each one of these features individually because a lot of the features are very similar. But what you have here is a red light only or beauty light only device that's on the same chassis as the Sunrise 7200, and it also brings forward all of the operational benefits as well. This unit is also run on electronic ballast. So if you're familiar with beauty light lamps, you know that you typically get up to 1,000 hours per lamp change, sometimes more. And even though you get more lamp output over time from the red light lamps, you still have increased output or lifetime expectancy on the new 7200 with the addition of electronic ballast within this unit. So it also takes less power to be able to run the unit, and you get a longer lamp life as well, simply with the inclusion of electronic ballast. Many of the things are the same here. VibraShape is included always with the Beauty Angel, and all of the other features are the same. So I won't bore you by taking you back through each and every one of them, but you do have a carryover of all of the operational features that make this unit much more simple on a day-to-day basis than the Sunrise 480 or the original Beauty Angel as well. Last year, we also updated our product line that has been included with Beauty Angel purchases for a long time. And so now, instead of having products that were very outdated, like ours in the past were, we've come up with a brand new product line that allows you to really talk about the Beauty Angel the way it's intended to be spoken about. So you will see on the outside of these bottles that we have very specifically placed certain claims: moisturizing, skin firming and calming, skin firming, anti-aging and moisturizing, etc., etc. So we get questions all the time about the Beauty Angel and what you can say to promote the Beauty Angel and how you can talk about cosmetic claims in the Beauty Angel. And so we made it very straightforward with the development of this product line. The whole point is to not even have to read the back of the label to know exactly what you should say about the product. It's written on the very front of the bottle. And then also to let your customers know that these products are light activated and enhanced when they're used in combination with the Beauty Angel. All of these include active anti-aging ingredients You can certainly smell and experience the difference when you are using them compared to a traditional lotion that is very highly fragranced. There are no artificial fragrances in these products, and we try to avoid them altogether. They're also, in addition to being higher level anti-aging, but similar to the new Fusion line that we've just come out with, they're never prohibitive to tanning. And so if you are, for example, doing a cocktail session and using Red Light or the Beauty Angel before you lay for a UV session, you can layer these products, and you can certainly use them as an addition to your daily skincare routine as well. They do not contain any sunscreen and do not contain anything that would be detrimental to the tanning process. They're also paraben and sulfate free, and everything we make is always 100% of the time cruelty free. If you have questions about that, certainly let us know, but we've tried to keep the process very straightforward, knowing that sometimes you will use the Beauty Angel in combination with other things, and so we want that to be a very quick process for you. For example, if you are a male using the Beauty Angel, you might only want to use the spray because it's very quick to apply. Or if you are a female or a male that's into products, we accept all kinds around here, that you can use the facial product and the body product as you normally would. But the spray contains a lot of the same benefits of calming and moisturizing the skin and prepping it for red light, and it's very, very quick to apply. The last piece of equipment that I want to go over today, and it looks like I'm scheduling right on track here, we'll get finished up right in about 1 hour, not 1 hour from now, but 1 hour total, is the Inspiration 550. This unit is just coming across the water right now. We started on development last year, and our intention is really to reinforce mid-level pieces of equipment. For a long time at Ergoline, over the last 4 or 5 years, there's been quite a space between where a typical Passion unit would stop and an Affinity or an Inspiration unit began. And so our goal was to really create a piece of equipment that could be a workhorse in your salon, could be at your level 2 or level 3, depending on how your salon is situated within the marketplace, and also be very accessible from a size perspective to be able to fit in many different types of rooms, as well as from a price perspective. And so it still gives you the ability to have very controlled and very dependable output from a tanning perspective, but it also still allows your customers to see very clearly the features and the benefits that they would incur when they upgrade into higher level pieces of equipment. And so you have a 42 lamp unit that also has facials. The facials are still independently controlled, so if you would like to turn those down or off throughout a session, you can. It has basic comfort cooling, as well as a sound system and MP3. So not enough features for your customers to say, no, I'll just stick with this piece of equipment. I don't want to upgrade into your level 4 or your level 5, but it certainly allows you to reinforce those, you know, mid-level tanners who are looking to upgrade out of a Passion and into something that will give a little bit better tanning performance over time and also is customizable for your salon as well. So I think that's primarily the topics that we wanted to go over today. This is the first of multiple training webinars that will be hosted by Ergoline between now and the rest of the summer. We're hoping to do this on a monthly basis so that you're able as a customer to just get information directly from the horse's mouth, to understand our intentions behind the types of technology that we bring into the marketplace, and also keep you up to date on that technology as well. We really would like to do a better job of communicating our innovations and communicating our new equipment to you, whereas in the past maybe you got that information from various different sources. We're really working to improve our technology and improve our customer contact as well. And so stay on the lookout for further webinars in the future that will just give you additional information. We won't always be covering only new equipment. Sometimes we'll be talking about operations. Sometimes we'll be talking about training and information that will just make your daily life easier as a salon operator. And so the intent is not for it always to be a sales pitch. The intent is for it to be a tool that you can use as a salon operator or a salon owner to really understand the type of technology that you may already have in your salon, or new technology that you're interested in upgrading into as well. There's quite a few questions here. I'll get to the ones that I can get to today. Otherwise, we have all of your email information, and we will send you follow-up information for the questions that you have, as well as information on where you can purchase units if you're interested, and the individuals in your area that can help you with that as well. Let me just read through some of these. Some of these questions are rather technical, for example, like ballast ratings and things like that. So I'll send you that information as a follow-up. Let me do red light facial. So the answer to that is no. The question was, when you do a red light facial only session in the Prestige 1600, can you turn off the body lamps completely? And the answer is no. You cannot, during a regular session in the Prestige 1600, turn the body lamps off completely. So once you select from the exterior control panel whether you want a sensitive, medium, or intense session, you can't make further adjustments to that while you're in the session. You can independently control your facial tanners throughout any session choice, but once you make a selection on the exterior of the unit, and you tell the unit that you want, for example, a medium red light and UV combination session in the Prestige 1600, you do not make further adjustments to that throughout the session. Let's see what else we have here. MSRP on the Fusion lotions. MSRP on the Fusion lotions is going to be $35.95 salon cost. We like to keep those nice and accessible, so that when people are bundling the lotions or they want to buy all three of those together, then it's advantageous for you as a salon owner or operator to be able to make that happen. Lamp cost is different between each of the units that we talked about today. So we'll send that to you in a follow-up email, as well as the expected or the life expectancy on each of these units and the power requirements. There was a question, how many times can an individual use the Beauty Angel per day? There is no FDA requirement that tells you how many times per day a customer can use the Beauty Angel. Operationally, there are many locations that will only allow you to use it once a day, just from a convenience perspective. However, if you are in a situation where a customer has unlimited usage, you don't have to go to war with them to tell them that they can't use the Beauty Angel more than once a day. But it's also important to know that biologically your skin has a certain reaction time, and your skin can only react so quickly to a session in the Beauty Angel. So while it might be interesting to be in the Beauty Angel 4 times a day, you're not necessarily enhancing the benefits by using it more than once every 24 hours. Because similar to tanning, it takes your body a certain amount of time to be able to accept the light, biologically respond to the light, and then be ready for another session. And that's true of the Beauty Angel as well. Comparisons between the Inspiration 550 and the Inspiration 450. We'll follow up with you about that as well. Financing options we do still offer. The UV output on the sensitive mode for the Prestige 1600. So there was a question about what is the output depending on sessions. On the sensitive mode of the Prestige 1600, the UV output is at 70%. On the medium session, it's at 85% of a 4 MED session. And on intensive, it is a full 4 MED session. So 4 MEDs is, an MED is a minimal erythemal dose, and that's how the FDA regulates tanning sessions across pieces of UV equipment. 4 MEDs is the maximum allowed amount of UV that can be used in a single session, regardless of whether you do that in 12 minutes, 20 minutes, or 9 minutes. We base all of our equipment on a 4 MED requirement, which is standard and FDA regulation. So all you can do within that session is turn it down. So you go from 70% at sensitive, 85% at medium, or just a regular session at intensive. The last question here that I think I can answer rather quickly is to say, how much more time would you need to tan in the Prestige 1600 versus a similar bed with UV lamps? And the answer is you don't need any additional time to tan in the Prestige 1600 compared to a traditional piece of tanning equipment. And that's one of the primary messages that we work hard to get across, is that when UV and red light combine, they are more efficient together. And so we're able to turn down the UVB output in that unit when we combine those lamps with red light, and it simply makes them more efficient in tan development and also enhances the color. So you don't need to stay for any additional time. The Prestige 1600 is a traditional 10-minute full session output, which would be standard for, I think, the Prestige 1400 and 1000 as well. And throughout that 10 minutes, we are just simply using the UV more efficiently. And when you combine it with red light, end up with better tanning results as well. So no additional tan time is required. There are some other technical questions here as well that we will answer and send out to you as a follow-up to the webinar. Other than that, I think I am right at my 1-hour time commitment here. I really appreciate everyone who has logged on today. And we were actually quite impressed by the response that we got from the network to be able to share this type of information with you, and really appreciate you taking some time with us in the middle of a work week to hear more about the technology that's come out lately, as well as how you can start to integrate those things into your salon or your operation. If you do have any follow-up questions, you certainly can send those to us. An email address, which is my email address, was sent to you when you registered for the webinar. And so you can certainly send those questions to us. And if I can't answer them off the top of my head, then I certainly have access to the resources that I would need to be able to do that. Other than that, thank you so much for joining today. I'm going to go ahead and sign off and let you guys get back to your work week. And we look forward to talking to you again in the next coming weeks. Thank you so much and have a great day.